And it's time for our Plunket catch-up now, and we're chatting with Mari Black. Mari, welcome to Good Living. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, we're excited, of course, about the fact that we are heading into these summer months now. It puts a bit of a smile on everyone's face. But it is also, of course, a time to make sure that we're extra vigilant about our children in the sunshine, because they are our responsibility, aren't they?
Absolutely. Parents do have to take care of their child's skin because there's a lot of research to say that premature ageing, if we're out in the sun for too long, and that certainly we all do know that some cancers come from too much exposure to the sun. So it is our job as parents to actually ensure, and Plunket plays a big role in educating parents around that, to make sure that our children's skin is protected. I guess when we're looking at children, if we're looking at the 0 to 5 age group, we probably need to look at our babies, our infants 0 to 1 years, in a different light to perhaps what we do see with our toddlers and our preschoolers, who certainly, just by virtue of being toddlers and preschoolers, are going to be out and about.
That's
and
right.
They do need to be out and about during the day, and that physical activity is part of that. But I guess the one thing that we need to be doing is for our babies and infants, that keeping them away from the harmful effects of the sun, keeping them indoors or certainly in shade, is absolutely paramount, really. I think too, as much as that the sunscreen isn't really the ideal for those young babies' skin, it's actually making sure we get as much coverage of the skin with the appropriate clothing as well.
Okay, so for babies who are 0 to 1, no sunscreen, and cover if they're out in the sun.
Absolutely. And I guess parents need to be aware that, you know, the sun travels across the sky, and so they might put them in a shaded place initially, but just they need to keep checking that if they've got them in a shaded part of the garden, if it's at a picnic situation or whatever, you know, but indoors is probably the best position. Yeah.
And also, I mean, you see a lot of children in buggies these days, and the wonderful thing about the new buggies is they have those sunscreens too, so
Sure.
always make sure that that's on. If the baby's got a full
Absolutely.
face of sun, it's not good.
Absolutely. No, it's a critical role that parents do play, actually, in protecting our children from those harmful effects of sun. Yeah.
And it's wonderful now, as you say, that we have the knowledge and the education about this, so we need to make sure that we use it,
Absolutely.
because this wasn't around.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
I mean, the slip, slop, slap and cover has been around for a while, and you know, our preschoolers and our toddlers are actually quite clever at that. It's a bit like, you know, the seat belt as
That's
well,
right.
you know, the make it click, all of those images are there, so parents do need to make sure that they just keep that there and act as a very strong role model to children's awareness in the sun.
Okay. Now, sunscreens, there's chemical and non-chemical.
Yep, that's correct.
So we
Yep.
can buy non-chemical sunscreen for our children.
Absolutely. I've spoken with our local pharmacist in Amberley and North Canterbury, and non-chemical sunscreen is what is suitable for baby's skin. And her recommendation actually was a teaspoonful of sunscreen per limb, which is quite an interesting fact.
Good way to look at it.
Absolutely. You know, so if we're thinking about the application, about a teaspoonful per limb for that preschooler age group, I thought that was quite a good factor for parents to know that they were actually applying sufficient sunscreen to their child's skin.
And speaking of factor, SPF 30 plus,
Yeah, absolutely.
starting point.
Absolutely. Yep, sun protection factor is really important, and I think, you know, it's really good to be talking to your pharmacist about that as well, because they have the most current knowledge around that. I guess the other thing is that sometimes we have our sunscreens in the medicine cabinet or wherever it's stored at home, and they do have an expiry date as well, so, you know, just being vigilant around that as well, that making sure that if you are going through the process of applying the sunscreen, about 10 to 15 minutes before they go out in the sun, reapplying it after 2 hours, or more, earlier than that if there has been swimming or physical activity involvement. Yeah.
Okay.
So the reapplication.
Yeah, they're vitally important.
Yeah.
We've got some hats here, Murray, that you brought in as well,
Yeah.
which our two cheeky monkeys are kindly modelling for us. So they're a good example of what we should be looking for.
Absolutely. If I can borrow this hat from the
Sure.
cheeky monkey, this little hat here has the recommended brim, which is 6 centimetres. So that comes from the Cancer Society.
Great.
The other added value to this little hat is it has a nice wee toggle, that, because we all know what preschoolers and toddlers are like about actually keeping the hat on.
Great.
And the other hat that I bought in was is the Legionnaires with a big flap at the back, so to protecting, when there's quite a bit of activity and movement.
And I know a lot of schools are incorporating the wear of hats now as part of their uniform as well.
Absolutely.
So that's really important.
Absolutely. Most schools or preschools probably would have policies around hat protection if they were outdoors in that physical activity time slot. So, there's some really good messages out there, but parents also play a very strong role in ensuring that we do get the good message, and it's continued into adult life as well.
That's exactly right, because vitamin D is good, but we need to be very safe about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mari. Some wonderful information there. And of course, if you would like any further details, do head along to the Plunket website. And the Plunket line is always there for you as well, which is 0800 933 922.